Hey, this is Flash of the Daily Drive. Today's topic is dealing with a city inspector when you're doing work on your home. Handymen dealing with inspectors, contractors dealing with inspectors. It basically is the same process, and a lot of times because there's a lot of the laws and rules that are very vague. A lot of times people feel like they're being intimidated by the inspector, or that they have to kiss the inspector's butt and do everything that they have to do for the inspector because they're afraid that the inspector is not going to pass them. Now, there's some truth behind that, and there's a legitimate reason for feeling that. I have a situation right now that I'm dealing with that has prompted this video, and it's a situation where a city inspector is overstepping his boundaries, overstepping where he has jurisdiction. There is very little that an inspector has any kind of input as far as who does it, when you do it. They have jurisdiction on code and how it is done, as long as it's done to code and it will pass inspection. That's about all that the inspector can require. I have a situation where we have a homeowner that has a house that was vacant and it had some vagrants and had some, so an inspector kind of latched himself onto this property, required fencing to be put on, things like that. But once the homeowner came, back to take possession of this property, it changed. Then it's more about the safety. It's the safety of, is the house safe to be in? Is it, are there any reasons that this house is not inhabitable? Now, this inspector is just, it's mind-boggling what he's doing and how he is intimidating this homeowner, and bullying her. And she's a young girl and she has no idea. And she's so afraid that he's going to find her and that he's all of these things. And he's saying things to her like, you have to have a licensed contractor to do this work, and you can't do it yourself, because he's saying things like, I get paid based on, a percentage and based on the permits and based on what's required. But the bottom line is, in the state of California, in the city of Los Angeles, everything that he's saying to her is not the truth. There is nothing that says that a licensed contractor has to change an outlet, or a licensed contractor has to put screens on windows. There's not even anything that says that she has to have screens on her windows. He will not release this property for her as long as she has no screens. And it is ridiculous what is going on. So, it affected. She originally came to me because she wanted she was referred to us about wanting clarification of what the laws were, what she could do. Could she do it herself? Could she hire a handyman? What can a handyman do? Well, if you watched my video with the state of California, with the CSLB, you'd know that a handyman can do anything in California. So it isn't a matter of what they can do or can't do. It's a dollar amount for a handyman. But she can pull the permits as a homeowner, and she, with the help of a friend or whatever, can do everything herself without attaching a dollar amount to it. She doesn't have to follow exactly what he's asking her to do. He's, telling her, the things are just ridiculous. It's like, you need screens on your windows. First of all, if she doesn't want screens on her windows, she doesn't have to have screens on her windows. There are certain things that even when you call the city of Los Angeles, they're like, we don't understand what's going on here. This is not, we don't require this. We don't require that. you know, he won't let her take the fencing around her property, won't let her move into this house until she has screens on her windows, flooring put in, which he's now retracted, working air conditioning. She doesn't have to have air conditioning. A lot of houses don't have air conditioning. Air conditioning is not a must. Even in like rental laws, you know, a landlord doesn't have to provide an air conditioner. So why does she have to have a working air conditioner to be able to move into her house? So on her behalf and on our behalf, we are in the process of filing a complaint against this city inspector. I've spoken with a couple other inspectors who have expressed that he has been on the job way too long and has overstepped his boundaries. Typically, I mean, just absolutely overstepping in the situation. The reason I'm doing this video is because I basically just wanted to bring awareness to the fact that, you know, you don't have to be afraid of the inspector. They have guidelines that they have to go by also. So if you feel that you are being intimidated or your project is being held up by an unreasonable inspector, then I suggest you go above that inspector. I suggest you go to the city, file a complaint, get a supervisor involved, and, you know, in this situation, I've been on the phone with this inspector. He will not tell me the things that he's telling her. He will not put anything in writing. It's all verbal with her. He has her so scared of him that he's a bully. So, you know, I am now taking this, like, you know, as, you know, I want this guy removed because I'll go after the bully all day long. That's just, I love it, and I'll do it just for the adrenaline, like, excitement of it. But when I get on the phone with him, he sings a different tune than he does with her. And he has her so freaked out. She, you know, he told her, oh, you need GFIs. Okay, well, she does. But, you know, but if she knew how to do a GFI, she could do it herself. She can hire a handyman to do that. There is no license required to replace an outlet or a GFI plug in a bathroom or a kitchen. Okay, so the fact that this guy is now dictating to her who she can hire or who she can get to help her is absolutely not anything that he has any kind of say, jurisdiction, or should be involved in at all. So you know, in this situation, she's afraid. She's afraid to do something. He's threatened that he's gonna, you know, he's gonna fine her. He's even used the words with her that, you know, I'll fine you, and, you know, we could tear down your house if you don't comply. And he says, I've put a lot of time into your property, and I took care of your property when you were away, and I kept vagrants out because I got the fencing put in, and I did all this stuff, so I deserve to get paid. And if you don't use a licensed contractor and go through permits and do it the proper way, then I'm not going to get compensation for everything I put in your property. That is ridiculous, first of all. So I don't understand, and I don't know where this is coming from, but I'm going to get to the bottom of it. And that means that I'm going directly to supervisors, and I'm going to deal with this, and I will follow up with this video of what happens and what the outcome is. But, you know, I just wanted to share that. Now, this is going on in Los Angeles, California, and I will come back with the outcome. The main reason for this video is there are certain things that you have to do, regardless of, you know, projects. If you're gonna, if you follow the law to the T, then almost everything you do requires a permit. Does everybody get a permit for everything when you go and change a light fixture, when you do, something? Do you get a permit? Most people don't get permits for every little thing. And I'm not going to sit here and say that you should, but that's how the city gets paid. That's how they keep track of what your property values. That's how they keep track of your property taxes. Everything raises when you do improvements to your house. Now, if you're changing out a light fixture for another light fixture and there's not going to make an improvement on your property, it's not going to raise the value of your house, I don't believe you need a permit. And, deal with the person that you have doing the work for you. But when you do get a permit, a city inspector is going to be involved in that job. They are going to come out and they're going to check and make sure that you're doing it properly. That is a good thing in most cases, because there are a lot of guys out there, a lot of businesses that do shoddy work. So it's nice to have that individual come out there and make sure that the wiring is done properly, that the conduit is done right, that the concrete is right, or whatever it is, to make sure that everything is done right, done safe, and to code. That is the reason for the inspector, because someone for the city had to come out and oversee your project and make sure that you are not being taken advantage of. That's the whole idea behind them. They're there to make sure the guy who's working for you, is doing things proper and legal. Okay? Now, sometimes inspectors do overstep what they're supposed to be doing. And sometimes they do require more than what they're supposed to require. Sometimes they do make a project more of a nightmare than it needs to be. Okay? So when that happens, just research and know the laws for yourself. Your contractor should know that. Your handyman should know those things. Your handyman should be versed on what the laws are, what the requirements are. You should have a good guy that represents you, that helps you, that talks to you, that's there during those meetings, that's, can give you advice and build a good relationship with your inspector. But sometimes that's not possible. Sometimes the inspectors, I'm telling you, they are human, they are people, and sometimes their personality is just not going to mix well with yours. Okay? So you do what you can, but the bottom line is, if you're doing it right and it's proper and it's to code, regardless of what that guy says, you go above him. You go to somebody else. You go to a supervisor. You write up and you report him. Okay? And, the bottom line is, that's why they have a supervisor, because, they're not perfect either. And sometimes these guys, they have a little bit of a leash there, and sometimes these guys do get a little bit out of hand. Okay? So that's the main reason, I wanted to do a video about this. I will come back with an update of what happens with this guy. I'm not going to obviously say his name or anything like that, but I feel bad for this homeowner. She's a very young girl that, basically has moved into a home that her parents owned, and she's being bullied, and it's just not right. And she's doing the best she can to comply, but his demands of things like screens and flooring and paint and making sure your windows open and close properly, making sure all your doors, and make sure your weather stripping, and make sure, he's got this list of a full remodel for this house that she can't afford, and she shouldn't have to. She should be able to just make sure that it is safe, it's habitable, it's, we've already made sure the electrical is safe and to code. She's got running water, she's got everything functions in her house that's the necessity. She's got working plumbing and working electrical, and so she should be able to break it up now and do things on her own or as she can afford them without being bullied by this inspector. So I appreciate you for listening. Please subscribe to my videos. It helps out a lot. You can subscribe and not even watch. It helps me. But I appreciate you watching. and I will continue to keep the videos going. Check us out on UnitedHandymanAssociation.org, and and if you're a handyman business, we'd love to have you as a member, and we'd love to work with you, because it's all about bettering this trade and working together. So this was Flash of the Daily Drive. Happy home repairs. Bye.